Good morning. Or whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm not actually sure we have everything we need here, but mainly we're doing processing. I haven't actually looked at the notes in a while. We actually kind of have front-end support. I just did the cutoff levels a little bit. It's kind of a tough decision. Number of objects. I think I did that a little bit with the tutorial stuff. Ah, yes, the process check. We have not done that. And hopefully this will come into default map center. The current issue is like, what is the notable objects? What is notable? Well, or rather, what events are notable? So the thing with the static image is it's technically anything that's loaded into memory, even if that tile wasn't touched. So if somebody's looting a town, that well will show up, which, sure, there was a town there, that's sort of useful. But that's not really one of the things I want to be picking in as a default map center. So we've got a little bit of tension there. I mean, I guess I could keep default map center separately from the rest of the notable objects. That would remove some of the tension there. But there was another problem I ran into. I think I got this partially running. Oh yeah, I had this on light just because some things were easier to see there. Oh, this probably is the most recent processed data in this local map. So there's actually 2 bell towers here. But this one is stuck. And we didn't have stuck bell tower because stuck bell tower wasn't that interesting. Yep, nothing hiding back there. Actually, this bay tree probably hid the starting layers of the bell tower. I didn't consider trying to do that. And I think that's all 3 colors of roses, too. So I think I need to have this be recorded, but I don't really care if it's a stuck bell tower. I would need to do more of an event tracking style thing. Which means we would not be simply reusing the indexes we already built. And then our question is, do we do this as part of the key index processing where it currently is, because we were just reusing that to get the latest thing on that spot? Which does have the advantage that if something happened and got removed, and it's not there, if we do more of event tracking, we might be able to go back and remove some things. we're going to need to do, if we want to keep a last thing at that spot, we're not going to be able to use the existing indexed object thing. It's actually going to be a lot more like the event log, except we're only going to keep... So we would go through all of the event logs we selected, and we would either dedupe those, or we would say, well, is it one of those? And then we keep this notable object log separately. We're just starting to do place coherency stuff, but we won't care about if there was a previous thing there. With the static image, we might need to be modifying an image of the data as it was. So this like completely changes which layer it gets processed in. Now, there might still be some utility in a thing, in a static image like this for getting forgotten things, but this is mainly supposed to be like kind of interesting spots, which admittedly we also have this. It's actually pretty closely following that. So this, there was some stuff there, but this looks like it, maybe the looters used a well or something. Bell towers also tend to get wrong in old towns. I mean, if I had that on lower priority, it wouldn't necessarily be a thing that got picked up. So right now, we've got this in output final placements. ID index. Well, it is using this type of output. The only use of putting the timestamps into this would be we could use the most recent one. But I think we don't want to do that across all of the possible things. All right, so there's our little metafile thing. So we had write objects, write notable objects. So some of this stuff is going to have to move. Notable objects. I don't know if I want to do it here or if I want to do it during the primary processing loop. Can this thing have its own processing loop? Read log files. Oh, wait, is this it? Total. No, that sounds like some previous. Now, read is the sub method that took over what our little sub process did. Yeah. Are you returning a singular object? Okay, you're already returning a pair of things. So we could make that a triple and have this do all the placement tracking, which would be a little bit more work for it. I guess the memory size of this object is going to be kind of the same regardless. Or we go through the indexes that got created and replay just the items of interest. Well, you need to get notable. So that's output final placements, file system objects. You're going to be notable, and Actually, final placements. So we're no longer doing that. We are doing this. You need the notable list. How did I handle this over there? Ah, right, because it's only not a reader. Backwards compatibility. Actually, I might still be more stuff from there. Okay, so we were post processing this stuff because that was doing all the collation for us. If it's a placement, if we're doing breakpoints, so this was very, very easy. Oh, Would I want to do object removed tracking? I think we're only doing permanent objects, really. Some of them are potentially removable. Like if we were tracking apocalypse towers, it would not necessarily be the highest level achieved, it would be the last, we'd see the L1, and then it would actually get removed. And actually, I guess what you'd see then would be stone block, not empty, anyway. PL. No, actually, it's not this, although... Oh, let's stay there for now. We said we were going to use... That is our input. Yeah, bell towers can't get completely taken down. Pumps always leave some kind of well. I guess some of the setup wells could have their rocks removed and then get dug into sand. But we're only going to do this. If it was a notable. Oh, no. And it's just notable.member.id, which we really expect 0 to not be there. But that is also true. This is, Yeah, we have to process it. We can't do this kind of thing because we have to process the locations. Is it log.x? So this is it... What was my sub-processing script? Tile placement log. How are we doing? That's tile coordinates. Oh, those are... No, we still have to do that within the tile, but that might have been within the tile object. Still, yeah, that's getting XY. Tile width. But output final, no. Tiled placement. Log.x, log.y. Oh wait, we have to test this. No, we don't have to test. This is just a straight up override. If it's a notable object, we could test other things to see if they overwrote. And then yield span index. Okay, read. Noted. I think that will be in pretty much the data format we want. All right, so we no longer need to prepare that data, but this is going to be processing a different format of thing. I'm going to need this other writer too. This is no longer triples. This is now... And then how did you... like object triples. This was ID... yeah, ID list chords. Okay, so that's that right index. So this was right tiles, might be getting closer to that. Oh, the tile chords, the tile. Tiles, what were you getting? Oh, I have this disabled for development. So you have a tile index. Oh, that's the tile index. Probably like placements. No, and tile.placements. Where placements... okay, so that's the event log. This is the set. Inbounds. I guess it's just dot objects. Okay, so we were writing objects. No, there's ink. This is the key search stuff. Right tiles. Updated tiles. It's tiles. Tile. Each pair chords tile. Writer. Okay, so the writer just works with the tile object. We have chords ID. You have not called that yet. Oh, what are you? So this is that map of location to ID. What were we writing? Right, triples. You were probably a key value key value, xy first. Oh, actually, this was location. Wait, so what's the triple? Oh, nope, actually, this format takes exactly that type of thing. I'm almost wondering, did I mess that up when I was doing this before? I guess I just transformed it to that. However, you do not load this right now. You loaded that. So you are not actually triples? So now you're actually produced from, now you see, this is more of an image. But it's being produced from the log step. Can we just drop it down one? I think I kind of had to do something custom on config path, although I was using one of the previous paths. I don't have to do something custom for that. But this does kind of transcend either of those. It's just where we produce it. What do I call this triples, though? This is more like a... Let's see, originally was a tile. Must have been copying some code. So this is a... I don't know, placements? I guess placements has been the detailed log. This is a location to ID map. It's like it was a tile, but it's not really a tile. That might be exactly what we need. Do I have a console open here? Oh, that's right. I was debugging the log search thing, so I was out putting where my cutoff point was. So I think this is all the sorted stuff. Oh, undefined method for map process. What's the most recent one here? So my first 57. Oh, that's right. That's right. Tile. That's right. Triples. Which one was I calling? Oh, I was directly calling right triples with the already processed thing. Oh, now you see this. Yeah, this is assuming the path. So we do have to do that transformation here, which is like exactly like this, except we use a different path. Well, no, because it's floors and objects. Oh, it's not going to like that, is it? And I said, well, no, I'm doing it during the pass. I could skip writing out the other files to speed it up, because it's actually just taking some time. Oh, but then we're doing this from a... Where's my list of objects? Yeah, then we reiterating for the position hash reorders them. So we have to take our initial triples, or because we kind of go back to this. Well, noted dot map dot sort. Now you see, this format itself sorts by ID. Now we do want to collate by ID. Well, I was using this method before. That didn't change. But I would have to then re-implement priority in the front-end map. So this is just a straight up write. I could bump this up to here. The object indexes, well, we do want the coordinate sorting within the item. It's only the item sorting that's an issue. So I would then have to do this when I'm writing down the other indexes. They only have one item, but we want the coordinate sorted. Or we just sort of take what comes. 2388. It's a dry diesel water pump. All right, if it's sorting by item ID, why the heck is it doing it in that order? That's alphanumeric. I thought the IDs... when processed here, base ID... Yep, caps lock. Yeah, that's not only 2i, it's doing numeric stuff. Did we 2s it somewhere in this process? Wait. They're not separated. Did I get into log value xy first? No, you're different as well. Oh, okay, got into something else. So you do that. This isn't doing anything to, like, restring it. So does this operator force to string? It's supposed to be numbers. That's why we were doing times 4. Object search. Let's skip this stuff for now. Okay. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, well, that's definitely a string. I don't know why. I wonder, is it possible that writing out, what was I using to write out, is actually changing my data? Well, there's ID index and there's write objects. Yeah, you're actually using higher detail placement records. So, how did that work? Oh, you're putting the entire log on there. We need all the information. Good morning, Rainy. And then we have all of that stuff to use. I just did log ID. Oh, no. This was, I did log.id. That's what happened. Oh, yeah, log.x, log.y, log.id, of course. That's actually base ID. Now, why this one blew up and it didn't blow up last time is what's confusing me. I guess well, maybe we printed the first number and then added that, and then that's what's confusing it. Okay, so now, yeah, that seems to have greatly confused something. I might need to have some parentheses here. Actually, we think we found the bug. What the heck? I don't think I changed anything else. Output object search index 152. Oh, I put this sort in here. And then it said, oh, we can't use that. Never actually filled out the body. Okay, so that is numerically sorted, which 6, no, what does that put first? You see, I went to all the trouble to sort this list. And my file format does not currently support that. Shallow well. Now this final image, Better Wells would overwrite that, but that would mean that we default to a shallow well, which is either going to be an early family or a expansion well. Do I have to do like right sorted triples? I think the problem is we're doing a complete resort here. So I'd have to do a complete resort if I was going to do that there. Or every other place that uses this would have to do a complete sort. Which, final placements. That's used for the loader. That's used for the writer. That uses right. So this use bumps up to there. That could have it. Right objects. This uses right triples. Actually, your sort order, well, your coordinate sort order still matters, which means we have to care about how we're sorting. That's not a simple numeric sort. I would have to do something like look up the position in the notable object list and use that as the value. Or we do, well, if I do some sort of separate processing for default position, then that would get, that difference would get washed out writing out that one file. I don't want to load a separate file. I could do the default position as ID 0 and just have a special case for that. How would we actually calculate that? Because we'd want a position of the highest ranking object. Well, if we're going to record a bogus item ID, that would have to actually look at it. It would have to record the ID, and then I guess when in the final report, it could just throw it in there at 0. you would use that location to go to. Or I do something, well, either I have to reproduce priority in the front end, or I have to just kind of randomly pick one of these things. I don't really want to load up another data file to get the current list. I don't really want to duplicate the list. So either I have to pull out the sorting somewhere, or I have to separately track a picked default location. Which, if I ever change my mind about that, well, if I change my mind about the order, then that's reprocessing the data. Possibility of changing mind is an argument for doing it in the front end. I guess since that's a semi-static file, I could like do something to translate it into like an Elm file and just compile it in. Or into JavaScript and dump it into config.js. Well, I guess if I do something built into the file format, I can still change my mind later. We use this in about 3 places. One of them is through a function which can do the sorting. And we've got Flora's objects, and then we can sort that result. The other place we use it, we'll then have to repeat that sorting operation So maybe we like need to make that like a static function or something, or yet another wrapper around right triples. Right and sort. I mean, well, yeah, this like becomes right sorted, and then we put a wrapper around it that sorts it for us. And then you can do your own sort. It's like some of that sort is file format dependent, but I don't know how else to express a different object ID order. Short of passing some sort of like sorting function in. I guess this is already technically a block per item. There is room for a block there. That would be a multi-level block call per item, but I guess I don't think that's really a bottleneck. And obviously the per file thing is taking a little bit of time. But I don't think it's the sorting. If we made that a thing you could pass in, we'd have to have some way of expressing the default status. And that's just the return value of that. Oh no, you're doing this and then calling. I don't want to put that in line. So that keeps the existing uses consistent. And then notable. What do? You are looking up this value in notable is an array. So this is like what is that function? This could even be an enumerable method. Each index returns the index of the specified element. Oops. In there. That index check might be a tad expensive. I wasn't paying super close attention. Did I? Did not say it loaded. Did I never call this? Oh, this is final placements. I was been modifying the wrong one that we're no longer calling. All right, we're going to triples operation here. Oh, in which case we can just do this. And it's just that. So it did not make a difference in processing speed. It's just a slow operation. Goes with the entire log. Quite a bunch of stuff we don't use. Still 662, 664. Oh, but you sorted, so final, we still have oopsies. I'm not really comparison referencing things anymore. Did I close it again? Yeah. $834. Is a monument step. So there was no monument done. Actually, that's another thing I see how there's a separate thing for monument done. Technically, that should be added to my other index. 818 is the partial bell tower. And then we actually do go to 2388. Huh, dry diesel pump. $3262. Try new pump with Torn Seal. Really? A Torn Seal showed up. Oh, because you take the water out. So yes, that will show up. The wet might actually be the result of the timed operation. And this, if we get the map to load it, should show the other bell tower, I think. I'm probably gonna have to add config for this, aren't I? Did I already add a config for this? I did. So that may actually just fix you. Now we don't have default position information. Okay, no, that actually broke it. Or was I still doing a hack with that? Or I was using the old pattern. It's an index.html. No, no, notable.txt. 404, it tried. Oh, because we've built this locally. We have not copied it to where our data is. Not lib. Output. And this, we should probably clean this up. I don't think I've processed data since then. Because I've had my local code in this in between states. So actually, that just goes straight up here. Okay. Oh, you were an incomplete bell tower at this map time. Okay. Oh, you know what? I did add stuck bell tower. I was trying to do a quick fix for that. I don't really care about stuck bell towers, though. And actually, was this nearing completion bell tower possibly one of our top objects? And then we had like try diesel well or something. That was our other monument step. All right, monument. Yeah, we added stuck bell tower. With just going through the event data. Dry, unpuzzled, powered pump head. I mean, the unpowered pump head, like these, are much easier to do than the diesel. It might not be that big of a deal. Thank you. I mean, it says there's an exhausted well there, but we should already have had the exhausted well. So most of these are like things you could probably be doing to an active well. The disassembly process. And I guess you could be building it up and building it down. But I guess that'll come down. Well, that would just leave it as exhausted Newcomen pump, which would be accurate enough. And probably eventually take it down to exhausted well, which would be fine. Which I don't think that's going to change our resolution, really. I mean, that could be taken down in a dead town just as easily. Some of the well sites I'm not completely sure about. Maybe all the stuff of taking down... I'm not sure what the difference between a pump jack and a pump tower is. I guess it's pump jack. What still has some of the stuff on it, and then some pump tower. So they got the bonus well. Another bonus well. They got a bonus well. Nobody has any monument progress. Well, there's a start over here. Oh, and the thing we wanted to test was, does that stuck bell tower go away? Now, well, I guess I've got network open, so that should force the refresh. Okay. If we zoom in, we can see it's stuck, but I don't really care. I don't really care about stuck bell towers. I guess the only annoying thing here is that if I change my mind, it's reprocessed everything. The good news is we only have to write out one file, so I might... I guess I can worry about separating the processed index if it comes to that. I would kind of like to separate the processed index for... We're building up the key process right now. All right, so what is our source control like? Do we have intermediate steps on this? Well, notable objects is a whole new thing. We obviously have a lot of stuff that's kind of work in progress testing, which I may have already committed at times. Oh, we still have a bunch of stuff in key search, or in final placements. That is indeed going to go away. That is going to go away. That is going to go away. That goes away. So we're not messing with that. This comes back. I'm not really reprocessing these since I'm not trying to... Oh, no, we are kind of doing that because we're printing out the... No, this is the... Oh, this is the tiles. We've been doing tests on just the index stuff, and that's where having a separate index that can do some of this separately would be nice. There are still... I don't know if they're included in this, but there are still changes there. Notables, that is object data, which I ended up not using that, right? Because that had the, Yeah, we ended up just not passing that. I mean, I guess we can read it, but we don't end up caring. Let's take this off of final. Some additional differentiation of that. Okay, so we already had a search index. That was commenting extra field. We commented some stuff out. Actually, that is kind of part of the current project stuff. So surely we will not want that off long run. We're doing a lot of edits here. Okay, separate the sorting, new file, tracking stuff we didn't end up using, adding some notes. You're tracking a new field. We changed our cutoff value. You are now tracking the notable stuff. Tracking notable, changed our timestamp, and turned off that for now. So that's not a very big change. And we should review our notes. What events are notable? We've changed that to things that got actively manipulated. That process check for notable could be subject to ordering. We can deal with that later. This is really for when we go. Actually, yeah, it is the key search index because that is not a separate pass. Do you have your own processed log? We would not have been copied to there if it did. No, the test. Output PL. Ah, okay, yep. Okay, so log search is the one thing we've done so far. We've done a few others. I don't think these formats have changed notably. I still don't want to wipe this. We had the act map, we had the key place, we had the map log. And because we're doing like a different output in the same layer, I either need to be tracking something in here, or I need a separate file. This is telling me the time. We're gonna have two processed timestamps. That could itself be if the timestamp doesn't exist. Root time, base time. That's all relevant to the key place. This, well, yeah, that's gonna follow from the same base information. So whenever like root changes or base changes, that's all gonna cause the same stuff to get reprocessed. Spans should be the same. We still have a step. Oh, get status, get add, even though we didn't use this. Final placements. All right, so we've got you. So we were, for the sake of testing purposes, just skipping this. So if logfile.path and valid at, that is the time. No, that's timestamp fix-up. Oh, logfile.valid@, this timestamp. So that's this thing, was it valid processed here? So if that was like, we could do log file valid at null for the other step, maybe? And the process of that, and the base time of that. Yeah, so this is process. Oh, now you see it overwrites everything. Right, it updates this, but we only write processed on success. But we're going to have to track these two layers separately, even though it's kind of efficient to calculate them at the same time. And then time. And then we add this. Oh, we're appending to spans. Well, this resets spans. We're going to calculate those in either case. So this is building up an entirely replacement structure. If we could process the layers separately, I would have to be preserving. I mean, this stuff is going to get checked. That's going to get recalculated. I guess I'd only have to be preserving the timestamp of the other path if that was an issue. Or I could just do a separate file. I would have to repeat all of this information. I don't know if I would really need to repeat spans, but that would say what we did. We wouldn't have to juggle with preserving timestamps as much. How about object search index? We were in the process of testing that. Your check, you know, we had a simple return for you. That process, we do a quick check on that logic. Okay, I decide to do nothing. We're not testing you at the moment. So we have two different things that are going to go through the same processing loop. How much of this process is dependent on arguments? It's dependent on log file. It's somewhat dependent on base time, which is dependent on options. Okay, so precursor check, we actually have knowledge of this before we looking up attributes of it. Log file valid at, that is going to apply differently to the two timestamps. So we've got the level where no, that's, yeah, we can't do a pre-check like that. We can do a pre-check for continue on. So I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get into. So far, it's been pretty much Ruby. I thought of just doing Ruby. Ruby is where I started doing data processing of the log files, so it's kind of where all that has continued to live. JavaScript runs the Leaflet open source mapping library on which all of this is based that does all the tiling stuff. And then I've got a lot of custom drawing and stuff in there. And Elm is running all of this UI because I just find it a more pleasant environment to work with than straight up JavaScript. But so far today, we've pretty much been solid Ruby. Kind of what I expected, but I thought I might end up tweaking some stuff on the front end side as well. That doesn't quite work because we're doing an early return here, so we have to check all conditions. I guess this would not be, so if processed, and then we would check those to opposite conditions. Oh, that would be like if not processed, then we definitely do everything. So there's some basic conditions that can just say, well, we're gonna do both no matter what. And then there is the timestamp specific stuff, which still has the precursor of we have previous information to work with. And of course, we're also assuming that if we have the process for the log file, that we also have a field like time. So I don't know if cache valid at would handle a log file is probably like map log file. Less than at time. If that was nil and nil translated to 0, Date would not be less than or equal to at time. Oh, the timestamp of the file. Yeah, so the processed at time is greater than the time of the file, which if nil translated to 0, that would be fine. So we might have something like, let's see, we need to know if we need to, you see, I probably already got the thing, it's the thing called like write tiles. About, or does this default to true? This default to true, doesn't it? Or are we kind of calling this write objects? So this was saying if all of these conditions are true, we're going to not write the tiles. If a duplicate of all these conditions is true with a little difference, and we're going to write the object. So there's a bunch of duplication here. All of this is dependent on having the file. Can't say any of those things unless we have a file. Can we condense these? If those things are different, we're going to redo both of them. Default state is true. So actually, whoop. That can go back into there. He's got a little bit long. Okay, a little bit long. Okay, that condenses that down a little bit better. And then we would say, well, if, unless write tiles or write objects, and then that's the line we can switch on and off if we want to force processing. Well, force the early return, I might still have to mess with these to get the one I want to go. Now, timestamp preservation. The right can be, in order for it to be false, we have to have processed and we have to have a time. Might be easier to just record that. So now we've got like tile time starts out there and object time starts out there. If it's valid, then tile time equals this thing. Processed. We're doing an equals down here, so there's that. We are then appending to the new value down here. What do we call this? Record? Still kind of a lot of stuff. Okay, some of those are meta characters. Record time. Yep, time. Dial time. Oh, we're doing time objects. And now I'm wondering if I should actually switch these around so that we have field parity. Ish. Time objects. So then you can just be time tiles, and time objects can be time objects. If we've gone through here, we'll rewrite spans. That is a span update. And checkpoint writes out the entire thing. It's just a JSON dump. Oh, we update the timestamp. This is a timestamp fix-up. That was a one-time thing. Based on the log files, which I guess if we did that, we'd want to... If we ever did that again... So right now we're only processing the one file, which, well, it's been done, but it hasn't had the time field recorded for it. So then we get down to here. And this is by here, so that should update in place if it gets updated. Although this was like our master span record, but that's keyed, so it should be okay. So now we've got dupe, right tiles, right index. It's a different kind of index. Oh, that is a tile set thing. And we're using the index for that stuff, right out that object index and the individual files. So in principle, what we see now is we run it, and it only writes out well, I don't know if I've ever run the base tiles. Well, no, I ran the processing using the old system, but there's still no object time in there. We want to have a default time. I could update the record. Well, we're making a brand new record here, so we have to have something there. I could say else restore the old time, but we aren't technically in a context where we're guarded by all this stuff down there. Oh, and we have syntax errors. Oh, is this not valid for regular variables? It's only valid for methods, I guess. Well, that's a bummer. Now we have to do something really awkward. Okay, comparison with nil. Okay, so it does not auto-convert nil to 0. So, yeah, you had like some stuff. Record time. That should never be true. Otherwise, nil should never get through there. Okay, and that is only writing the objects. We had previously done the processing for the base tiles. And then if we run it again, it just skips entirely. Separate processed time checking for static search index. And technically that should have been in notes. All right, so that's all of the things we had in there. I guess I should prove this before I do all the data processing. So now we actually do get to do some Elm, perhaps. Did I already open this? It's the data file. All right, load that. I don't think it's changed much. We expect. I think 834 was one of the. Yeah, it was the almost completed bell tower. I'm going to have to arrange to get this into default state or to have the map just do that. So right now we do default map position based on the monuments. Check default center is a monument specific. Oh, monuments have a date. Model.map time. The start time of the monument. I think that is monuments. Wait a minute. Monuments after the map time? If the time now is less than the time of the monument, it's supposed to be recent monuments. The current time of the map is the current time of the map defaulting to the start of the span? We do have a default center. We have a maybe map. Oh, the default center zoom. So map the XY to that zoom level. With default list head of that. That's not a sort. The start time of this monument. Oh yeah, a monument that started after the current time. Or the current time is wherever we loaded at, if we loaded a certain time. But no position? The data from this is going to be it's not going to be time exact. the spans are going to get you within a day. Well, I guess that's an interesting thing. If we go into time view, we just don't have that information. Uh-oh. Oh, is this the... Oh, I'd swear I patched that. Oh, we've got a big search up. Yeah, it was a little bit of a fluke. But I'd have to process this with timestamp information. Now we're doing this in a layer that theoretically has processed information. The problem is I don't have the location history. I did make this a layer. So maybe that should turn off in time by default. I don't know. I don't think that these are going to be well, some of the wells could be a little bit active. It wouldn't be too huge to include them all, but I don't really think we normally need that level of detail. So this will just be when we get the data, if we have no location. If model.center is default center, do I need a version of this? We've already processed a location. It's like, try this one, maybe. I only have one of those for monuments and one of those for notable locations. Do we call this from anywhere else? So you're only from there. There's like one other check default center update. That's that call there. So only call this from monuments right now. So it can be a specific thing. Now you see, yeah, we don't really want to do all this work unless we need a center. So I might have to do some renaming to make this a monument-specific version. Granted, if this works, then we don't need this anymore. It would be nice as a fallback. But we'd have to arrange something that's like either we had a failure loading notable or there were no notable objects. So we go back to the monuments. Thanks for the follow, Linux. Much like watching me stare at a screen. I do need more water though. I'll be back in a minute. That's what we were looking for.
I'm in the fucking door.
Is there
I literally can't do anything. I can't get out.
is there any reason why stuck in the door though?
You might have to refresh the point. Let me out, please. Don't want to be in the door anymore.
You are the door.
I can't wait to see this.
Welcome back. So right now, this triggers off monuments loaded. The require notable objects received. I think I'm still using the version that appends stuff, but we could clean that up. So we have an error. What's the network order currently on this? Monuments are just going to be a number file? Yeah, 17. I don't know if we have an exact timestamp. They're probably pretty much fetched about the same time, judging from that. So it might be a little bit of a race condition. Also, the entire list of monuments is as JSON versus compressed current objects is actually much smaller. So probably gonna get the monuments first, but that's network ordering. I guess we'll be able to, yeah, so check default might actually need to account for the model status of both of those. Now you got monuments. Oh, you got monuments as an argument, not a model. You got a model, and you got a model. So I guess this was just to save you from having to look up the model monuments again. What are model monuments? Because it's buried down in the servers. Well, so's notable. No, object received. Right, because it was singular when I first wrote this. Okay, so span data is a shorthand. So these are in two awkwardly different places. So in order to have a routine that I can do from, a routine I could call from anywhere that would just deal with it. But if we have not received the notable objects yet, we have received the monuments. We don't want to pick that because then we're no longer in the default state and we won't go to a default position. So it's almost like we have to wait until both of those are in some way resolved. Be it error or data. And then we can pick a default. And since we have to wait on both of those from whatever event triggers that, we're going to have to be able to burrow down to the appropriate data in both cases. Alright, so you were going to... Well, I guess if we just stop using this argument... the signature will stay the same for now. We might... might want that word. Although it's only used in one place. Alright, so default center. So... this might need some helper functions or... stuff. So to get two monuments... so we know where the monument list... yeah, this monument list. Model.servers, dict update, server ID. Update monuments is the command, yes. Check the default center with this list, which this could get down a little bit to we load the monument list for the currently active server. But we should have that in the model somewhere. And the server has a remote data of the monuments. Select the server as a maybe int. We have the servers, which have the monuments. That's a dict. There's going to be a lot of cross-reference. So this is going to be the most recent monument. Well, what we even do depends on the status of the remote data of the monuments. So we need to get monument data, which model dot do we start with server list, or we get the server ID? No. Servers, current server. Oh, we've got a helper function for that. Which returns a maybe of the data structure. Current server. So that gives us a maybe. So we maybe get a dot servers. No, this is the current server. That's the current server. Oh no, this actually does the get. Okay. So that does the dict get on the servers. The server definitely has a monument property, but it's still a maybe. Or monuments. And if the server was not found, we're going to call that not available. Not requested. And then we have notable data. So current arcs, current spans. Did I ever do a helper function? Locked object list. Current placement, current location. Map notable locations. That's updating the model in place. That's focus object. So one of these will be as we get span data. Notable object received. Span data. Model.span data is, okay, that's a reference to the current thing. When we change it, we swap that out. So that is a maybe notable locations. Yeah, span data just. So this is already taking care of some like server ID digging and stuff. So we go maybe span data, which has the property notable locations, which is a data. Maybe dot map dot. Is it notable locations? Notable locations. And that also has, if for some reason we don't have a span data, then do we consider that not requested? It might be not available. If we only do this when one of these should be available, we'll probably be okay. Well, but then if this is not even requested yet, maybe it'll be okay. Okay, and then we have remote data. If either of them is loading, we don't do anything. We may be able to trust that they've been requested at least once. Well, I guess if spans have data, we do it by span. That's our if notable has data, we do it by notable. That's what we want. If notable is failed, we want to do monuments if possible. I guess that might be what it comes down to. Maybe we don't even look at this unless notable has failed. Now it might be, is there going to be a thing where we just do a straight up equals loading, not requested loading, or maybe we never request it. Okay, there might not be a true, like, not available. So notable data. If you are data, maybe we go down to here and then do a switch off of this. We just kind of keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. If we don't have span data, when do we get span data? It's from a scrub time. From a time selection for time. Require object search index. Will only happen if we have span data. My concern is, what is the state of that when monuments might come in? Because we will never even have a notable object received event if we don't hit a span. So that might be a little bit awkward. How? I guess there's going to be some point where we either do something that will result in span data or don't. Span data is only a maybe right now, so we can't like indicate like not available status. So if we have a span, and we're going to go to there, and we actually need to examine into you, but we're still inside a maybe. Oh, we could turn it into a data. That's not a maybe anymore. This might be more kind of a sub-function type of thing. If it's data, which is then that notable. Then we want, you are what? Notable locations, a list.parse key. So it is just a list. We think we put these in sorted order. Now we're back to a maybe. It could be an empty list. Well, we can say if it's a non-empty list. Or could we could say default center. But so we want to go to monuments in that case. Or if it is an error of some sort, an empty list, data of other case. Now we're looking at maybe we want a sub function, because those are going to do the same thing. And in all other cases, we are waiting. Which ends up being a model command none. Not equal to default center. Okay, there's like the default center thing. If we're waiting, then it's like that. It's data. If it's an empty list, could I check for empty list, then this would still be exhaustive? Anyway. Let's do one of these and then see about if a function makes sense. Then we're into something like this if we don't have the monument list yet. We have the monument data. That was assuming it was a list. So this is the, we only do this. You don't really need, you need the model for the time. Monument. Oh, that's for my monument list. It's still a lot of stuff. Monument. Default. Calling stuff default center. Default center. Model to. What are we calling this? Default center is a center. So that's given a monument list. This is a thing that might be data. So that gets us out of the maybe. Then we have remote data.map over, I see, this is the thing that I was thinking might need to be a function. Maybe that could be part of the process upstream. But this is a monument list to a center. Oh, this is default center, not default center. This is to an actual location if there is such. But if we get to the point of picking this, I think we're at the point where we just need to do that. So we want to map you, if present, to this. That does require the model. It requires the monuments that come from here. I guess what really this is like recent monument. Recent monument location. Technically, you only need the time. That would be a POSIX. That's a point. We have not done that as a set center yet. So it's going to be the map time and the monuments, and then this whole thing is getting us a recent. You're defaulting to a default. I'll say for sure we're mapping over recent monument location with model.maptime as a remote data.map. Which is going to transfer us into data of the point. Remote data with default. So you are now default center, basically. Okay, so that's monument default center, which actually makes these things a little bit more tractable. So that got moved into monument default center. Can we do a similar thing with notable, like default center? Oh, this is head. You need to transform this in a similar fashion to what you did. Oops, too much. Well, that was your list.head, all right. But if it's an empty list, we actually want to go do that. We know we have it. What do we know about this object? We know it is a parse.key of a object ID, which we don't need the object ID for this. And an X and a Y, and what we're trying to produce is a point. Except, is this, okay, back to model. Okay, default center is default center. So this would be default center? No, because it's still in progress. So these would all have to be set centers immediately. Default center is not a center type. If you're not equal to default center update. Would you want to return set center then? So is this becoming actual just an update of center? Well, we could check this against that default center. We also have the point that's default center, which is how we were doing this setup. That would say it was a set center of default center. Or can we do this as a linear process where we say, well, if it's either that or it's either set or it's not set, and then if it's not set, we can continue on to monuments. Because that's a definite answer. We were checking against default center on whether to set anything. But you have to have some way to indicate we're still loading. We're hoping to get this. We don't actually want to do anything yet. This isn't notable data anymore. This is like the new. It's like just our new center. Definitely got it. Failed to get it, so we went with monument. This is, there are no monuments, so we did not change anything. If we called it a set center at default, it'd be like maybe a little extra churn. I guess I could check against set center default. Of course, now, well, having all of this logic here that we're doing that versus this might be good. Although you could also return just a default if I did this down in there. So we have this new thing if... So then we have two things. We have not equal to the case default center and not equal to that, which makes me think we should be pushing this down. Oh no, you returned to center, so that is type incorrect. Recent monument location is not just a point. I could remap that. Or it is actually saying it's default. You're a center. The remote data defaults to nothing. Then you are there. Then this would just check against not a default. Ah, you need the inner point though. That's why we're dealing with that probably. Could I just plain extract this since we already extracted monument? Notable default center. mean, there is kind of an ordering here. The default thing is almost turning into its own, like, maybe type. I guess I could process these two in terms of maybes. And then I could use with default to go down to monument. Recent monument location. Let's see. Your recent monument location. This is digging down and doing that with the monuments. This is, you know, we did have this little function in here. Which is a this is notable locations is a list of parse key. And what if we just made these? These would be maybe points, I guess. Well, not you. Yeah, you are still a maybe. Yep, I want a full line. Okay, that was control. Locations. So you just we still have to put the just on here. Oh. That's 3 return values. A known point, a don't know, and punt to the next stage. Oh, actually, and you are this actually is still a remote data. Data. Because we have to do a little bit more caring about it here. This can do just data. Well, when we ever want to say monuments are still loading, so don't do anything. I think we just don't do anything then. Let's see. Can you be a maybe? If we do, we renamed that. And you were doing a maybe. Well, a thing that could become a maybe. I was kind of hoping to wash this out and say, well, we'll try notable locations, and if that fails, we try Monument Center and have that whole thing at a higher level of processing. But I kind of need, like, answer pass still waiting. Which is kind of what this the remote data thing is doing. We have some very peculiar ways of interpreting that in this case. That's not really a notable location now, because that's actually like some of the processing. Well, map, 2 not available. And that's a with default, so now we can just go notable location. So we've moved out the remote data stuff. We've closed out the maybe to remote data type. Monument Center, if you're a maybe... how do we return this, though? We're back to returning a center. Oh, no, it's a... You could be a nothing. And you can be a maybe point. We washed our maybe. We'd have to do maybe maps if we didn't. Recent monument location. You were returning a center. So you were a maybe. We take this out. If it's a maybe, we have to adjust. So it's a little bit similar. It is a maybe. No, it's a maybe map, so it's already adjust. Do we have an answer? Monument Center is a maybe. We're in a remote data. So if we had data, try to pull a recent out. I could probably even 2 maybe this. And then... Well, you've still got internal maybes. Actually, are you like an and... Then... No, you're not producing a maybe. This thing would be an and then if it was in a maybe chain. Oh, wait, I see, that's returning a maybe. Yeah, I might want to do that. And then maybe dot and then. Turn it into remote data, turn it back into a maybe. So all of this comes down to, do we have some kind of answer for you? This is just a maybe then. No, that's off a little bit because we have that one indented. And we're only doing this processing if we're currently there. This is actually kind of like Notable or Monument Center. Notable location. Oh, you need model, so that means this needs model. Since we're calling down, I was kind of hoping to get that out of here, but I'd have to come up with a new data type for the sort of trinary nature of this. Unless I like map this to data, this to loading. Well, this is to loading, this to error. And I'd still have to do this same kind of switch. At some point to say, well, okay, we're gonna punt in this case. The only thing that would really be doing would be defining no data as an error. All right, so we changed, well, it's just model, check default center. We're calling that there, on monument list, which I probably need to do some debug tracking here. Notable object received, and that still kind of needs to, doesn't need to worry about appending. With default, if received, was this a full model update? And what's the nothing here? Oh, if there's no span data? Yeah, we just should have never gotten there, so I think that's probably okay to leave. Alright, okay. Don't need the cross-reference anymore. Oops. Does not like our drop while. Ah. Always forget the equal signs. Okay, 9 to 5. Yep, that changed. And... It's now a maybe... Okay, this just goes back to set center. We're doing that here, kind of translating the maybe. This is also going to get into center, and this could just a point, really. Oh, was I qualifying all of those? It might be a thing that shows up in multiple places. There's a different kind of data. Data space. No. Oh, I call it failed, not error. Oh, boy. Okay, because it was error message. Just of type maybe. The expression in a case of is POSIX. Maybe A, so it doesn't know what type it is yet. Monuments, map time. Did we call you with the wrong arguments? This should be relative to the function signature. It says that's a list monument, that map time is a POSIX, where we're going to end up returning a maybe. Pattern is trying to match just values of type. Well, why is it trying to match just values? Oh, map time. Oh, which we said POSIX, but we're passing model. And how would we even, could we even pre-filter that out? You could do a maybe map as an and then. I don't think there's an and then too. But we have defined behavior for this. We just have to tell it it's a maybe. List remote data list. Okay, so we got that backwards. Is that right? First pattern is trying to match lists of type. The expression between case and of is a remote data of list. Oh, yeah, a data of list. What? Remote data of list of these things. The first pattern is trying to match a list of remote data. I don't think you're reading that right. Point XY default. Point, maybe point. Okay, so you have to be, this is where, this one does need adjust. We still have a center somewhere. Notable center. Recent monument location is a maybe point. Type annotation and notable center. Ah, indeed. Like we're like a notable point. Notable location is a maybe point, so you're a maybe point. I already called that notable location. Notable point. So what are you? Your monument center, recent monument location. Case notable center. I changed that name. All right, so this should be fine. We should pick a location. Oh, and I probably need to take out some of this stuff because that's also a setting center. We are starting to not need them. I'm just kind of turning it off every time. So initial object search is, maybe want to leave that around for testing stuff. And then initial object search, initial object search, initial object search. Most of that's derived. But trying to tutorial false. There's something, and this is picking like the list head for the focus object. So that might take care of a lot of it. Okay, now, if we are just kind of popping in here, hey, well, no, actually, I do not have these in my monument log list yet. So that should be a success. I think the last known monument at this time was still out here. We have notable, yeah, no monuments out here. And if I change the default zoom, you get clear about which one it was focusing on. Okay, this is the nearly complete monument, which that's probably indicative of process. The simple bell ring over here, people go back and ring bells in old towns all the time. All right, let's see, we did open this. We also going to do some cleanup on that. Well, I guess I've already started doing some of the cleanup. No, we're in model, so that is what? Thank you. It's one of our search mode, search objects. What is the default here? Search objects, search lives. Well, that would be default to search lives, I believe. Sidebar mode is search that normally defaults to data filter, I think. Oh, and this is closed sidebar. That's there. We pop up into that. Oh, if we were to change to a time where we didn't have this data, and oh, we don't have something to wipe this out if it's not found. So we might be doing this for a little bit more. That's that one. Do I have, I haven't got a console for this yet. I actually need to have a list of things to do here. All right. Sampling spans is to do... that's a different thing. Interactive, default map position, kind of. We still have to do, if no span data, test, if no span data. And we have to do clear, notable, or well, clear, notable. Well, I might even have to update. It's kind of a special layer. Preprocessed object list. And we've redone this to be active objects anyway, so it's just not going to be a thing. That is, oh, I put that back on. Something like that. The view is not being updated, so that seems about right. Use notable for default position. All right, that was just enough work. I wanted to get it checked off. Now, okay, so fetch failed. Yes. That is true. What should we be doing in that case? Fetch notable. Map notable locations. Failed, 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 failed. We're not telling Leaflet about this, I think is all it is. Any notable locations or notable objects. Leaflet.notable objects. I'm a little bit inconsistent on that. All right, so now, if we go into some other time that fails, we have no default position. So that the failover to monuments didn't quite work. This is on the monument. This should all go over to failed. Now this doesn't need to be a map per se. Because the other thing we need to do is get this down to just one. So this is still the easiest way to do this. And maybe that data preservation is actually part of the problem. And then this does not need to append. Span data notable locations. Notable locations equals data of notable, where notable is listed. Just data. We are not assembling things from parts anymore. Yep. And then you should be the same. Now, this is notable object received. Do we still have the older versions of these? I think I just like X'd them out. We only have one of those. Yeah, I think I removed that. So really, this should be objects. Oop. All right, that was just a little bit of cleanup. All right, so in a situation like this, which you also have to check, well, I guess dragging, I was trying to actually set up this load. We are not jumping to our monuments. Why are we not doing that? So what are we getting out of you? Okay, we're not even calling this. Oh, because I'm reloading, so so we have a location. This is still our default time. So, does this work? That went somewhere. Oh, that go to 0? No, it's definitely a point. Is that from this one? Might have to force this to be a load. Yeah, that was... Or I have to hack something to just process a different timestamp. Okay, so it does not accept the partial, or this was, no, this wasn't the timestamp. Get me a different timestamp. I might just have to kind of hack something to not use the same method of determining the default. Okay, and that is a regular monument bell tower at a long-forgotten town. So that kind of works. Let's see, we're never gonna do that interactively. So that's fine. So now we don't need model. Closed sidebar. Hopefully I haven't forgotten any little tweaks we made. I guess the main area of interest would be here. 0 locked objects. Nothing in there. Oh, I need to work on this. In which case now I want to be looking at it. Sidebar mode is just search. There are still some differences there. Restrictions, and is this... yeah, we just kind of did this. Show object result. We're going to get different results at different sizes. Natural objects are not going to be indexed. They'll be shown if they're... but it's not a hard zoom. And actually, natural objects already have a... cutoff at there, so that shouldn't be anything different. Although I guess they're only indexable at that size, so... but still show natural objects. That search is still going to be a little bit different. There are some objects that will only be visible... well, they'll not be browsable. You can still see them super close. I don't think it's straight up restrictions anymore, though. Do we have anything else to say there? Let's see this. The static objects. The far distant indexing is only going to work for things that were loaded in the last processing pass, which is a little bit weird. The animated view, unindexed, or still a little bit with a little bit depending on actually drawing it. Part of the issue is I don't have a whole lot of experience with this myself yet. So if we get you back to the current time, which actually, is this current time? Yeah. Oh, we've got this debugging thing here. Delivery truck, there were 5. So out in the middle of nowhere. Out in the middle of nowhere. Doing oil. Out in the middle of nowhere. And out in the middle of nowhere. Lovely. Also, these points are not showing up. I guess I'm used to maybe, yeah, I haven't made it scale as well to this perspective. Okay, and actually that's all the monuments. That's not really okay. So actually, yeah, they're a little bit more visible. Oh, yeah, that one got yeeted real far. Yeah, one of them was kind of, was the oil? Yeah. Okay, I guess that's the animated view for that. Well, they got placed lots of times. Fueled 15 times. Oh, just made once. If we are scrubbing through this, basically we just get like senses of where they're traveling. And this is over all of time. So that's going to be moving us through time as well. Looks like it's actually kind of a little bit of a random walk here. This should maybe be sorted by time. I think it was default to sorted by like location. That I don't know. It depends if you're looking at a location or looking at a time. I guess looking at nearby times will kind of be more efficient in terms of resetting things. Although you could always go backwards. Yeah, don't include tutorial by default. There are no trucks out there. Surprise, surprise. Maybe I should really let you resort these. So there's definitely some peculiarities. I don't know if there's going to be any things that are as peculiar as, hey, this just doesn't work because of the zoom you're at. And this is kind of a no-op function now. Oh. Okay, so there is still something to do there. Yeah, I guess there's no point in showing that. I guess the as of is still sort of relevant. Yeah, you don't really show anything either. I guess this could also be none. Is it none or is it empty? It's none, okay. And I think that was the only thing that had a special case like that. All right, notes. Update notable when changing span. Oh, that's... Okay, we unloaded them. Okay, no, we do load them correctly. I just right at the edge. We clear them if there's no data. We default to monuments correctly. We think we got that. We think we got that. That is kind of a future project. Oh, this is still, no matter what, this is going to be off until we get map data. I guess we could do something with spawn locations when those are at different scales. All right, map. Change our defaults. Search objects, search live, sidebar mode, data filter, close sidebar. In our default view. Well, I also changed that. Where was that? Activity map visible false. I might actually have to review some of my older change logs here, just see what I edited. I never like going through that GUI. Actually, I've already got it open. All right, from master. This is going to be changes to model. Oh, this was family trees, though. So actually, we've got a lot since master here. Model. We changed those modes. We added some fields. Not a map, not a map, not a map. Wait, okay. Other map. Model. Changed a data type. Activity map visible. Added a field. Changed these to test data. So we got activity map visible. Those are basically new fields. Those are some of the new fields. Those are data types. Object list mode. Was that one of our little triplet of things? Matching objects. Oh, did I just rename this? Yeah, I just renamed that. Focus, tune to focus life, browse objects, that should be a new thing. Oh, maybe did I change it and change it back? Those are new fields. I think we already updated that. Another new icon. I guess I kept flip-flopping on this. But yeah, now it is not a name. Oh, actually, yeah, I changed how that worked. It used to be like an extra tab thing. We're kind of flipping back and forth between what we needed. That's new data. Data animated. I may have changed that back already. Data animated. We changed it to true. It is now at false. That's good. New fields. Let's start updating new fields. Switch data animated off. Debounce matching objects is a new thing. That's like span data, I think. It's all new fields. New stuff. Building on our prototype. Let's see. Yeah, that was a list of objects. New method. New fields. And we're up to stuff that we should have kind of had in mind. Okay. So actually, that's going to be kind of our default view. And when we're not so far away, we might see something more like this. So this was notes, cleanup, pretty much. Then we go back to there. Map process. Let's see. So if we're going to do that, these should be safe to run. We don't want to do timestamp fix up. I might want to, well, I'm gonna be pointing, oh, I have to figure out what I changed here. This was the shorter list. Okay, we changed our output path. New stuff, new stuff. Our next skips. Our checkpoint. Okay, so we got next. Got checkpoint. Actually, you know what? I'm probably going to... Probably still going to do this. Well, not the whole thing. I would do maybe this with one thing just to check everything out. Okay, new thing, switching flags, checkpoint, and that's probably all the touch up. New stuff, layers. New stuff, switching layers or steps. Oh, and this has to all get ported to the online processor. Maybe I'll do that offline. I'll see. Right now it's way past lunchtime. So this, I could even have this produce the initial batch of data and then start uploading it, maybe. All right, so do one little test run. Which actually, I do have some more local data, so there'll be a lot of work here. So actually, I can't necessarily wait around for this, because there have been some new map logs. There goes the activity maps. There has been a day or two since I processed this last. That's one way to do it. Thanks for watching. Let's see. Does this look like an active stream? It's not. Yeah, he sounds like he's doing something. This is the one I'm usually on. Things might be a little weird this week because it was really cold today, so I'm putting off grocery shopping. I might try and get some other work done this afternoon. So I don't know about the evening. I do want to get back to Oni now that I think the sale ends today, but it wasn't too bad to begin with. But I need to get this stuff set up. Did I copy this? No, I did not. If you're looking for somebody that's cool to hang out, Kenji Coder is... Well, he said he's doing GPU views, so he might be doing some like really low level, some lower level stuff, but he seemed to be somebody who was able to, much better at just kind of casually chatting than I am about various interesting topics, and is working on some interesting code as well. If you're looking for a place cool to hang out, that's someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye, and until next time.